Now entering Nerdist.com.
Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. Jackie Cation, Laurie Kilmartin. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show. It's the Jackie and Laurie Show. The Jackie and Laurie Show.
Good morning. Oh my God.
Crack of dawn
On
Saturday
a Saturday morning.
This
to
could
talk about comedy.
This could not have been done 15 years ago. I swear to God, I would have been.
It might not be done today. Don't get your hopes up. I am not here.
It would have been fine if the club owner could have picked me up and been super chatty about it, and then taken me to radio.
We're at Meltdown.
We are
at 8:45 on a Saturday morning.
Empty Meltdown.
It's empty. I'm in my slippers.
You are in your slippers. I saw that. When
I refuse to acknowledge that I'm functional before 10 a.m. on a Saturday. This outrages me.
Do you want to know that this is sort of my fault?
Yes.
Okay.
I do like to blame somebody.
Well, you'll be happy to know that I cannot do it later today because I am playing Dungeons & Dragons from noon to 6.
What the fuck? That's your commitment?
That is my commitment. And then it's a standing commitment. Every 6 weeks we play for 6 hours, 8 hours. And you can't reschedule 5 people. We can reschedule the 3 of us.
I'm just asking curiosity
For
wise.
a friend, yes.
Can you play for 5 people for an hour, or do you have to be there the whole time?
Oh, well, the way we play, you have to be there the whole time. But I think like Brian Posehn and Dan Telfer and Patton play and Blanket Patch play like for an hour and a half at a crack.
Right.
But they play every week. It would be yet another weekly scheduling nightmare. This is once every month or every 6 weeks.
Right.
So...
All right.
It's good times. Good time. Yes, it is indeed my fault. But other people had to switch things too, so it's all, we're all in this together.
I get it.
So tonight
Patton's not playing with you today.
No,
right?
no, I don't play with those guys. Those guys play by themselves. Those guys have a different game.
Yeah.
They've never invited me.
We didn't talk about last week. Talk about his loss.
His wife.
I don't even know how to. I don't want to seem like.
Yeah,
we're just capital or bringing it up, or you know what I mean. It's just such a horrible.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to write anything about it.
Yeah,
but there's an 826.
Yeah.
There's a donation place because she was such a great writer, and she supported young writers and other writers. And so this is a fund so Michelle McNamara at 826.org, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
And if you put those 4 words together, you will find the fund that you can donate in memoriam of Michelle McNamara.
Yeah.
So
it's
hilarious, smart.
It's just like such a
sarcastic,
shocking, and
we all would have been best friends. I met her for probably a total of like 5 hours. But if you just sarcastically compassionate, so fucking funny.
Yeah.
I actually reposted the Dork Forest that she was on just because every year they won top 5.
Oh wow.
Fan favorites.
Oh cool.
Every year.
Wow.
Completely insane. It was her and Proops.
Wow.
So
that's great.
Yeah, so great. Anyway, but tonight this is going to come out after, but we're doing one of those powerhouse improv shows again. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you, me, Kilgariff, Bamford,
and Guy Branum.
Laura House said I'm being played by Guy Branum.
The part of Laura House will be played by Guy Branum. And
yeah, I'm psyched.
And if you don't know any of those people, Google them and find them and fall in love.
So.
What do you want to?
I don't know.
What do you want to jump into?
Well, when you said Guy Branum, that remind you. You brought a list.
I did bring a list because I've been doing a lot of sets around town,
right?
And so there's been a lot of chatter.
Right.
This is not out yet. But guess who did not sign a non-disclosure agreement? Jackie. Random comics over the last week have told me in different venues.
Yeah. And
I've compiled a list from all of those different, from all of those different rando comics. Of the new half hours coming out of Comedy Central. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is all of them.
Yeah.
But it seems to be a nice mix of races.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like there's anybody who's gay or anything, which Guy Branum is the reason even a freak show vote, you fucking book Guy Branum. But you book Guy Branum. You book Guy Branum because he's Guy Branum. But if you have to find a freak show reason.
He crushes. He crushes.
Every time.
You're guaranteed a crusher.
Yeah,
You know?
it's like when I get work because I'm a woman. I'm like, if that's why
don't
you
care.
had to book me,
Yeah.
then I get stage time.
Yeah.
but you should have just booked me.
Yeah. I'll take
and-
the job anyway, but
Right.
and I'll show you it's okay. But yeah.
Yeah,
Well, there's a part of me that's constantly jealous, right? And I do not like to give that part of me any oxygen. I
Right.
don't like to read Deadline or like all the stuff I should know that's happening in the industry. I
my
don't
God.
want to know because
you get
there's
kind
this
of-
raging animal inside me
That's like, why not
is
me?
jealous. Exactly.
Yeah.
It should be named Why Not Me?
Why? Oh, you know what? All of them should. Maybe they change the name of the reporter or Deadline or one Vulture. It would be Vulture in my case.
Yeah, right. But it's cool. It's great. It's exciting.
It is great. And I have to tell you,
yeah.
I was a little bit where you were, where I was like, I don't even know these people. Who
I
are
don't
these
know
people?
some of them.
I don't know some of these. I don't know a lot of these people.
It's weird when it's like, how dare you become a good comic without alerting me first? You should send me a heads up when you're 5 years in and let me know you're on the way up,
Right,
please.
and
This is
when
an
you
outrageous
spike-
way to find out about you.
What I did, and I put this on our list, is
Yeah.
I went and looked at all of them. I went and watched all of.
You are a
clips.
psychopath.
Well, I just know I was like, well,
No,
who the
you
hell?
are.
Why?
That you went and looked at every single
There's
YouTube
only
clip
like
for
10
every
of them.
There's 10. You looked at 10 comics?
I did. Well, Ryan Stout had me on his podcast, and I had to come up with 8 clips of 8 different comics and give him time code so he could listen to the bit. It was so
Jesus
much.
Christ.
Was so much homework.
Does he tape that once a year? Who the fuck does all that?
Well, it turns out it was me and him, and then they had like 3 or 4 other guests, and it didn't quite work because comics don't want to do a lot of homework
God.
because we like to fly by the
Especially
seat of our
on
pants.
other comics.
Right.
You know? Because we all have all these mixed feelings all the time, unless you're a pure asshole. Then get away from me.
Yeah.
I mean
Yeah.
pure as in you're just a generous person. I don't need to be around you. I like knowing that other people are as quick to be jealous and angry as I am.
Well, I am not. I am so sorry. It's not that I'm not. I get jealous. I get angry,
Right.
and that's what I was going to say about this list. Is that's why because I don't want to be jealous and angry.
Neither do I. It's
Right, which is why
useless. It's
Waste of space.
It's gross, especially when we're doing okay. It's disgusting for us to be jealous
there's
of anybody.
no reason in
Yes.
God's baby green earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on top of that, we're just Americans. Like we're not in Syria. Like there's
Right, we're
no
90
fucking reason to be jealous of anything.
Of anything. Yeah, as I drank my cup of coffee that you bought for me. So I even have a free cup of coffee. So not only is my life amazing, I'm sitting on a free cup of coffee.
You're wearing
you guys.
you're drinking black coffee.
I am
and,
drinking-
I don't know why I started with wearing, but I guess I'm assuming you're going to dribble on yourself.
Good guess. But I will say this about what I will say about all of these people
Yeah.
before we go move on is that I was irritatingly pleasantly surprised. I was like, every single one of them are hilarious.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great.
Some of them are a little darker or not my kind of comedy, but I was
Yeah.
like, but they're good at it.
Yeah.
These are all comics. Do we want to even talk about them or later?
I don't know.
don't-
Well, I can't contribute to too many of them 'cause I don't know all
it's
of them.
what
like
let's-
Aparna, I know she's great.
Aparna is the women that I know.
I didn't
that
know to
found
say
out-
Aparna. I knew. I knew her well enough to say Aparna instead of Aparna.
Is it supposed to be pronounced Aparna?
No, I think you just said it right, and I just said it wrong. As I said, oh, I know Aparna. Well, actually, you probably don't then because it's Aparna. Okay.
Who knows if she's been ethning it up or, but it's Aparna Nancherla, who we've mentioned
Yeah.
before, Jacqueline Novak, who I don't know.
Yeah, she's
but
funny.
I've met her.
Yes.
Naomi Ekberrigan, who I've never met. It's sort of, Kyle was saying that it's like half New York and half LA.
LA, yeah.
Yeah, and then Emily Heller.
Love Emily.
And,
She's the best.
So those are the 4 women.
Yeah.
And then there seems to be some gentlemen.
Yeah.
A lot of guys, and some of them, are just I mean, there are funny white comics, male comics, and so they do.
You don't know how it hurt her face to say that. It contorted.
I
A
don't
vein
mean to-
popped out of her temple.
I don't mean to make a sweeping statement, you guys, but some white guys are funny. I know a lot of people don't think they're funny. Who said that? Somebody said that. But my big shocker that I had never seen before is a guy named Ali Sadiq, Saddiq. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but he the clip I saw, he was in prison, and
he was working a prison.
No, he told a bit about his bit about getting out of prison.
Yeah,
and how sad everyone.
You already have me he told his bit about getting out of prison.
1997, he gets out of prison, and he's like, no one was sadder. People cried when I left prison. No one has ever been so sad when someone left prison.
The other prisoners, or his family that he was coming home to?
The other prisoners. It seemed like the.
Or the comics he was taking gigs away from. I'm out. Oh no, there goes my spot.
Oh, he's gonna start working the road again. He's gonna
start sending avails. Oh my God, get him back in prison.
But yeah, I recommend seeing, because that prison bit was I don't know,
cool.
It was amazing. So. Yes, I am drinking black coffee. We can talk about that if you want.
So I went to Elderberries, which is right next door. They were open this morning.
Okay.
And so I get you black, and then I hold up I just hold up some goo. I held it up to the lady behind it, and she said, I think I had a look on my face like, is this snot? And she said it's pumpkin berry. It's something that didn't sound real. It's
an LA creation of health.
Yes, like how did you get milk out of a seed? But I didn't ask, and I just poured it on my coffee and crossed my fingers.
What is it? Is it sweet? Is it supposedly a sugar?
I can't tell a difference.
Oh, fair enough. So it tastes black anyway?
Yeah. It tastes tampered with, which is what I like. I don't like black coffee. I need a little goo to go along with that caffeine. Yeah.
So I went to the nutritionist, and she's like, "You can't have any dairy," and I was like,
"Why? Are you trying
coffee?
to? Oh, sorry. Are you trying to find something out?"
To quote Albert Brooks, "I'm basically a solid."
I don't know what that means.
I had all these blood tests, and it turns out I'm a disaster. Oh. And but I'm a caricature of a disaster, right? So it's nothing. It's just an American disaster. Right. Welcome to the world of your thyroid, your immune system, and your cholesterol. And then I have vitamin D issues, but I guess everyone has those.
Yeah.
Possibly, I've never had them because I've never checked on them.
Right.
So I went to a nutritionist.
So wait, did you find this out at a regular physical?
No,
you went to a kooky physical.
I went to a nutritionist who's a doctor of nutrition or whatever, and she gave me this because I have a Kaiser.
Yeah.
And so I've never used it because I assume they don't want me there.
So they will give you free MRSA. They will.
What's MRSA?
It's this infection that a lot of people get while they're in the hospital for something else because it exists in hospitals.
Because there's so many sick people.
One of my old swim coaches was killed from a MRSA infection when she went in for something else. For Kaiser.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, then essentially I'm just lighting $300 on fire every month. And then if something catastrophic happens, the people at Kaiser will cut it out, I assume, or cut it off or nuke it.
Listen, let's work this nutrition thing hard.
Exactly. That's
my
said.
Solution.
She said, she was so funny because she's like, you have a Hamaguchi or Yamagachi, which I think is a toy that you play with. It's a real thing.
I think I've heard of that.
Yeah. It's a real thing. I think
I drive one.
And she said, what they'll do at Kaiser is they'll give you supplements to replace what your thyroid isn't producing, and then they'll give you something else to attack your the bad part of your system that your immune system isn't attacking. And I was like, well, how can we not do that? And she said, or we could just do a bunch of nutritional supplements. Andy, he doesn't like hippie doctors at all.
Right.
And he's like, tell me this is a Western doctor. And I said, well, look at this. It looks like it came right from Monsanto. Is that something for you? And he was like, yeah, it is. And so I'm taking a bunch of bullshit from a bunch of powders and pills. And
what led you to this? Were you feeling sluggish or something?
Yeah. I was just, I had middle-aged lady time.
Yeah.
And I also am exhausted all the time and irritable. And so I was like,
that's what I love about you. Please don't get rest.
Don't get any rest. We love the irritable Jackie. And so we're going to do 2 weeks. So 2 weeks I can't have. He was like, she said it's going to be the basics.
Are you on the road for any of this?
Yeah.
That's hard to do on the road, is to make a dietary change.
Yeah, I'm doing a private in Moline, Illinois this Wednesday.
Wow.
And then I'm doing Thursday, Friday, Saturday Thursday in Moline and Friday, Saturday in Vermont.
Cool.
Burlington, Vermont.
Wait, that's some weird routing.
Well, I got the private first.
Yeah.
And then, which means I am essentially, a child of the inner city because I have one decent corporate outfit.
Yeah.
Welcome to a pair of black pants and a black shirt.
Works for me.
That I wear every time I do any sort of corporate, which I haven't done in ages. So
Who's
I'm
the
terrified.
audience? What's the audience?
400 ladies.
Oh.
Hopefully it should.
That'll be cool.
Erin Foley got it for me.
Oh, nice.
So I think she said that they're super nice.
Yeah.
And they don't expect comedy. And I'm like, well, that sounds terrifying. That sounds genuinely
No, that
terrifying.
means you can work out some new shit. That's what it sounds like to me.
Well, I guess they used to just have speakers. And Erin was the
and
first.
humorous?
Yeah,
oh
they had
my
humorists.
God, the worst. The worst.
Which is when I sent them my contract. In my contract, it says in large print, no podiums.
Oh my God.
Have you ever tried to do stand up at a podium?
Yeah, it's awful. It's undoable.
It's undoable.
Yeah.
The bendy microphone that just comes out of the plywood.
Yeah, and you know, a comic, you're basically making fun of podium culture. You're making fun of all that. So to actually be behind it while you're
Podium culture. Please, can we call the show that?
Okay, so you have the suite. I'm assuming suite paying corporate, and then you have probably $150 one nighter the next night.
No, because here's the remember I was telling you that Maria's PA guy was going to find me some stuff. He found me this, and so it pays decent. It pays fair.
Nice.
It's like $2,000 for the weekend.
Wow.
Right. That's
so
fair.
he hooked up the whole weekend?
No. Well, the Vermont thing, yes.
Oh, the Vermont thing,
but not the Moline thing.
Oh, neat.
So he doesn't get any of the Moline thing.
He doesn't get any of that.
No.
So what there's a one nighter Moline that you tied to it?
That's the private.
Oh, but you said a private in Moline, then the next night, and then 2 nights.
Well, I'm flying in a night early to Moline. Sorry.
Oh, I see. It gives you a full day in Moline.
Well,
I forgot. I'm sorry. Of course.
A full
Say no
day
more.
in Moline, and I reason I bring that up for there's no reason why I bring anything up, but remember we
I
did
love to hear
Akbar?
about gigs like normal comics do.
Right. Remember
Please.
remember at Akbar when the comic who can remain nameless said to us, "Hey, who books your road stuff?" And we laughed and laughed and laughed.
I know.
And she's a very, very beautiful, very young, successful
and
comic.
has someone booking her road stuff.
And has someone booking her road stuff. And she's like,
I love it when other comics have what I consider
the sweet
life, and they assume everyone else does too.
Which is
so who gets you on podcasts?
Wow, nobody. No, I don't think anybody's. I do think it's sweet when somebody has someone to book their podcast for them.
Oh
like,
my God!
It's that's like an intern.
Yeah. Yes,
a sadly unpaid intern.
You could.
I could get that for the dork for us.
You
but
feel too guilty.
I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Others don't.
There's not enough free T-shirts and cashews and dark chocolate to make it that worth anyone's
one more
while.
week without dairy in your coffee, and you'll be ruthless enough to make someone work for free.
Oh, these first 3 days are going to be grim. When she said that I could have caffeine, I was like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, what the heck?
Let's try it.
And when she said coconut milk, but not. She's like, and don't just drink coconut milk, but you can use it in your coffee. So I bought coconut milk.
Yeah,
it's foul. It's the worst. I don't want any part of it.
I don't like coconut.
I'm not a huge fan. Do you remember It's a Wonderful Life? Mm-hmm. Well, remember that what's her face said that she didn't like coconut, and young George Bailey was like, "Hey, stupid, you know where coconuts come from?" And he pulls out his magazine and tells her because he's in the National Explorer League. Anyway, it's a reference to a movie that isn't seasonal.
So back to someone more successful than us asking about her booking agents.
So here's what happened. So you had to go do another set.
Yeah.
How was that? You did Akbar and then you went.
Oh yeah, it was fun. I did. I was at the Improv. Allie McLean had a really cool show. And
lab or regular?
Regular.
Nice.
Yeah. It was fun. It was
Good.
fun. Yeah.
And then, so I walked with this other comic, and I said, and she was like, "Well, who books your road?" And I said, "I book my road stuff. I have about 35. I mean, I could work all the time if I wanted to at this point, which is a blessing and a curse, and just because I'm exhausted. But and she was like, "Well, how do you find out?" And I was like, "Well, you are in a sweet, sweet age of the internet. Well, there's no way for her to know, right? I mean, you can't know until you know, right?"
Right. No. I know. I'm just.
Yeah, because it's
just
hilarious.
funny to me.
Yeah.
After a lifetime of faxing avails and then emailing avails,
mailing off your VHS test.
Yes. It's okay, but
and calling. See, back in the 90s and the 80s, you guys, you would call the club owner and then they could ignore you for months. And now you could just email and get that ignoring instantaneously.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. And but so what I did was, I did a very weird how to book shitty one-nighter seminar.
Yeah,
Remember that?
yeah, in Atlanta, right?
Yeah, I did one in Atlanta, one in Boston, one in. It's usually I charge the comics like $5 or $10.
Yeah,
because I have to copy all these pieces of paper that I give them. And
what do you go to Kinko's? You don't have a printer at the Cation residence?
Not if there's 30 or 50 people in there, because there's usually you know how many comics there are? Or wannabes? A lot.
Oh fuck, you're right.
Yeah, in every city in America. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, but I did it first time at the Women in Comedy Festival, and so what I do is I hand out a sample template of a cover letter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I was talking to this woman, and I said, well, you send out, with a basic cover letter. And she's like, all right, cover letter. And I was like, yeah, like a job, like a regular job. And you keep it short and succinct. And so I sent her that, and I said, what I have is what in the packet of the How to Book Shitty One-Nighters seminar, $5, you guys. It is bullet points of how to do the road.
Yeah.
And because we know how to do the road because of 1,000 million shitty one-nighters and then weekend rooms and then B clubs and then A clubs. And
by the way, I think it's like every comic will need to know this on the downside. Like, I think there's people that are on the upside now, and some will stay there, and others will not. Right. And then you're going to have to know how to book your own shit. And,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then there's this awesome thing. I was just talking to somebody else, and she's got a spreadsheet of those cool one-nighters that Cool Kid comics do. She's got a like James Adomian and Kyle and Sean Patton and Ian Abramson. Yeah. And there's all this stuff all over the South. And those guys, all the comics in the South have sort of banded together.
Oh, neat. And done the anti-James Gregory tour.
Who's James Gregory?
He was one of those guys. You know those guys, I think this still exists, but not as much. There were comics that only worked the South. Yeah. And I would work with them and I'd be like, I don't know what this person is saying, and they're American. Like, you can't, the accent is so thick, they're real country. James Gregory was a guy who was famous for just merch. He made so much on merch afterwards. Really? And he would do, from what I heard, he would do like the same material every time, and people came back for the same material.
Oh, like a band?
Yeah. Yes. Wow. So and then every once in a while you have a Foxworthy that would break out of it, that would take that and make it mainstream. Yeah. Or, like Tim Wilson, who would be able to work everywhere. But Tim Wilson in the South, holy shit, that guy.
I think I met a guy,
monster.
Todd Yan.
Yes, yeah. I think
guitar guy.
He was a Bob and Tom guy for a long time.
Sure.
And I think there's that separate Bob and Tom circuit where the people that frequently appear on Bob and Tom would be able to sell out venues in a Bob and Tom city.
But only Rontowski, I think, was the only woman who ever got on that tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is Rontowski. That's because Karen Rontowski can work anywhere.
Yes, she can.
She did a series of old people homes in Florida for 4 months.
Oh, my God.
Or 3 months or something like that.
It's fun to just test yourself, too.
She paid off her credit cards.
Oh, my God. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I would get like these text messages or calls from her. She's like, I've literally bought a joke book. Is what she said a month and a half into it. She said, I am going to be doing jokes because...
Oh, my God, that's great.
And they always say to me, you're not speaking loud enough, and enunciate.
Oh, my God. Oh, I hear that every day at my house.
Right, how's your mom?
Fine. My theory, though, is we comics should all pool together. We all should submit our dumbest joke to what we call a cruise act.
Okay.
And then everyone who submits a joke gets to use that hour of material when they work a cruise.
Oh, that's right.
Because the audience don't care. There's no reason you should waste all your good shit.
Remember that weird book that came out in the 90s?
No.
Where this woman stole everybody's act?
Really?
Yeah, and credited everyone.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then Kathleen Madigan and Jay Leno sued her. Did a group sue, and they got all this money.
Oh, she did a joke book.
A joke book where she quoted everybody's
act. Was it Judy
act.
Carter?
It wasn't Judy Carter. I thought it was for a second, but it wasn't.
Uh-huh.
Judy Carter has advice. What do you think about advice?
Does it cost more than your $5 advice?
Advice always costs more than my $5 advice. And my $5 advice, I start out all of those things going, there are a million ways to do this career. Yeah. These are the ways that I have done it. Feel free to take them. Feel free to not take them.
Yeah.
And feel free to make fun of them. I don't care. But these are possible ways.
Yeah.
Work off of it. Because the cover letter I sent, I sent email to this woman who has the PA agent. By the way, I asked her, well, how many weeks of work is your PA agent getting you? And she said, it isn't enough. It's like 12, 14.
That's not a lot.
It isn't a lot, but she has a full-time career here in Los Angeles. That's as many as she needs.
Oh.
And they're pretty good.
And they must be high paying because why would the person want 10%
nice
of that?
A and B clubs, too.
Wow.
I think like Hyenas
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, perfectly good weekend rooms that I can't get. And she started naming clubs, and I was like, I can't get into those rooms.
Really?
Yeah. I've never been able to get into the Loonies, or the Loonies approached me, but they only had a nickel. And I was like, I can't go to Oklahoma City for a nickel.
Right.
Not unless you're a hipster with a beard that's like, hey, we're going to take you out for barbecue before. It'll be this. Like I'm doing Fort Worth next month.
Yeah.
That Baron Vaughn got me in. And it doesn't pay very well, but I'm going to go and I'm going to hang out with these people. And it's going to be local comics.
Is it Fort Worth at like a cool one-nighter? Or
it's a cool little theater. It's like a little black box theater, but it's 2 nights.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to do a live dork for us, but I have to call that guy because I can't remember. And, but yeah. But
this podcast can be just notes to self. So please remind yourself.
Jackie Cation, if you guys can.
Do interrupt a story by just reminding yourself.
Right. So the cover letter is just the cover letter. Hi, keep it short. These are my credits. A link to an actual video. Don't send them a video.
It's a cover email.
It's a cover email. Yeah. And then on the bottom, I did a sample.
Yeah.
Of a bad email that I got from a booker who invoked my name, who the comic had invoked my name.
Oh, okay.
And it's this guy who
invoked. That sounds heretical. I had to pause for a second to think if that was the right word, by the way.
It was a bit of heresy because I hadn't told him he could. And you at least have to tell people.
Oh, get permission. Yeah.
Yeah. Just say, hey, by the way,
so-and-so recommended me.
So-and-so recommended me. First of all, that rarely works, but it does give you some credit.
Yeah.
But make sure that you've told the person.
Yeah.
Because they may call and ask, and that's exactly what happened. It's this gig in Tokyo, and this guy emailed me back, and he's like, do you know this guy? Because this is the worst email I've ever gotten in my life. And I redacted his name, and he did, but it was all, hey, man, my buddy is coming to do your gig in the foreign lands. And you're like, are you kidding me? I'd love to get the 411 on that. He said 411 like he was 100.
Oh, my God.
And this happened 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, Jesus, I'm so sorry. This is not anybody I actually would recommend.
Right.
But I'm sure he would do it perfectly. By the way,
the whole time you've been saying this, I've been like, who books Tokyo?
I know.
I've not been paying attention. I don't know what you said. I'm only thinking about doing a gig in Tokyo. Continue.
Do you want to recommend the comic of the week?
Oh yes. Okay. So this is how this reminded me of this comic. So Margaret Cho posted on Facebook. She just posted a thing about Scott Silverman, who's a San Francisco comic. I've known him forever. He's gay and he was out very early on. You know. I mean,
in stand up.
Yes, in stand up immediately. You know.
That's awesome.
He's not somebody who would quote pass for straight. Okay. So. And she's just talking about how, we take for granted how much, again, as a straight woman, I'm not saying it's easy to be gay in comedy, but it's how much easier it is now,
to come out.
Yes.
And those pioneers?
Just to say, yes, you're gay and you could still work a lot of rooms, most rooms.
Yeah.
There's probably some shitty rooms.
That are shitty. Don't worry about
or they'll only have you on,
even though I know that
Rainbow
you'll want
Night
to.
or something. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, Scott out very early. So was Scott Capurro, another San Francisco comic, out very early. And they worked locally a lot, and they worked, internationally. Scott Capurro worked internationally. But anyway, that reminded me of a woman named Marga Gomez.
Marga Gomez.
Who, when I started, she'd already been doing comedy a while. I think she started, in the mid 80s, early 80s, around the time Robin Williams, early. And she was out immediately. Mm-hmm. And I think it was harder for gay women to be out and get work than for gay men, because gay men maybe fit into a stereotype that was easier to sell than gay women did. And I remember watching her when I was first starting and going, wow, she doesn't care what guys think of her. I thought that was such a freedom, because I even then I could feel it.
Did it make you want to be gay?
No, but it made me wish I didn't give a shit,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And you can't fake that. If you're not trying to be attractive to men, you can't pretend you can't fake it. You just aren't.
Right.
You don't give a fuck. If you're trying not to be attractive to anything, it's just part of you. And I remember feeling very early on like I am just laden with all this shit that I wish I could cast off of me. And I don't even know if I still have.
Like baggage?
Of
what you want to be?
What I've been told, you know, is this
enough?
Is this
kind of thing?
feminine? Am I
Okay.
feminine enough? Am I turning off the men? And just watching Marga going, she, you know, and not that she was feminine or unfeminine, she was just herself, but she clearly didn't care if guys wanted to fuck her after the show.
Right.
And even though that I didn't want to get fucked after the show, part of me was like, I hope these guys like me. Like I cared more about what the male audience members thought than the female audience members, you know?
Yeah.
And so I remember wishing I had that
And it's just a great-
carefreeness,
Yeah.
you know, that she had.
Or
You know,
at least it looked like she didn't care, and it seemed,
yeah, who knows?
and it came
you
out,
know,
right?
Everyone has their own dramas inside,
Yeah.
but what it looked like on stage is that she just didn't give a shit about that.
That's awesome.
And, you know, I think back then too, she, you know, mostly worked the Bay Area. It was hard to leave the Bay Area just because it was
as a
hard
gay
for
woman? Yeah.
straight female comics to get work. And I think that, you know, being gay made it much harder to get out of town and just do regular road work, you know.
Yeah.
But she kept persevering, and she's, you know, done a lot of one woman shows over the years and stuff. And I don't know,
that's
she's
cool.
just somebody to like. We were googling her.
Oh, right.
And here's the
Because
thing:
I had never heard of her, so I YouTube googled her.
Yes.
And it popped up a set from 1989.
First of all, we all have sets from 1989 that
Right.
we don't want seen.
Oh, my
And that
God.
wouldn't be the first set of Margas I would watch because in 1989
don't.
it means a lot of comedy. A lot of doesn't age well because references are old or topics become
Right,
you
well,
know
people-
done in a way. And you're
Well, yeah. I mean, they've been covered, and
Yes.
and you're like, well, that's been covered, and you're like, well, it had
but
not
in
been covered.
89
in
it hadn't been
89.
covered. Yeah. So anyway, she has a lot more recent stuff there too. So
Yeah, so
her
check
out.
that out.
But
Try to
yeah.
go into the 2010s and above, please.
Yeah,
and Margaret
it's
Gomez.
it's hard to when you think of like your old shit out there, and
Yeah.
and it felt so daring at the time and so revolutionary at the time, and maybe it was, you know, and now it's like
Yeah.
it's just dated
I
and
put out
embarrassing.
I saw somebody brought up. I was on Comedy on the Road in '94.
I was on it too.
Gary
I think
Bynum?
I brought it up.
Might have been because
Yeah.
it doesn't air anymore. Thank
Right.
you, God.
I put mine up on Vimeo.
Do you have it?
Yeah, as a
Do you have it on
legacy.
3/4 inch? How did you? What
Whoa, you
venue?
calm down, lady.
Do you have it on mini disc? How did you?
On
where
I put it up on Vimeo because
did-
YouTube takes shit down.
Where did you have that hard copy?
I had a VHS copy,
Okay, that you did.
as I think we all do.
But I
Yes.
didn't have a VHS copy.
They
of
didn't
it.
give you one?
They either didn't give me one or I threw it out.
Oh.
Because I wasn't psyched about that set. Feel free to look for it and find out why. I think I've explained why in the past.
Well, where'd you tape it?
Nashville Zanies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it was weird.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I have that same, I wonder if everybody has that, where they're paying attention to a part of the audience when you're doing a certain bit that you shouldn't care. Like,
Yeah.
you should care if everyone likes it, but you're like, I wonder if that biker dude likes my joke about mullets. You know, I hope that guy likes.
Well, in a way, you do want to connect with the audience, right? And
Right.
I remember when I was doing one of my earlier Tribble runs, I'm up on stage at the Copper King in Butte, Montana, and they're miners. Like,
Yeah.
this is, you know, I don't know if there's still miners there. There probably are. They're frackers or something now,
Right.
but these are miners and their descendants. They've been in Montana for like 50, 100 years.
Yep.
You know, it's people who live a certain way and think a certain way, and even though they're white, that's
and they get cable.
that's about where it stops. What we have in common, you know, is our race.
Okay.
And because I'm just dumb from the suburbs in the Bay Area, you
Right.
know, and I remember just going, oh my God, like how am I gonna get these people, and how satisfying it was when I could find the right dick joke that would resonate with minors.
The greatest thing about dicks is that you have to. It's all about and they're universal, and satisfaction is very important for everyone involved.
Dick jokes are universal.
They are universal.
You can't be too snobby towards them. They work across cultures.
No,
but when I moved to New York, completely different audience. You know,
I get nervous in New York.
New Yorkers, tourists, and just the city people are very different from suburban audiences.
Right. You know that club up in the Upper West Side?
Stand Up New York?
Probably.
Yeah. It's on 78th and Broadway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always stay on the Upper West Side with my friend. And almost everybody in that club is from the Upper West Side.
I know.
Because nobody leaves their neighborhood.
Well, if you live on the Upper West Side, you wouldn't want to leave.
Why would you?
Because it's just awesome.
Well, it's super.
You're on it's like, it's hippie rich people. The East Side is like Republican rich people and like old money. It's like, that's Jackie Onassis. Half in New York City. And then
Upper West
the West Side is it's Seinfeld,
but
you know?
Okay.
Yeah, so it's definitely
still fantastically wealthy, but more liberal.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's a great room, Stand Up New York.
I love that room. I had a really good time. I'm jonesing to get back, but...
Yeah, they renovated it, and... but they kept, I think I said this last time, they kept the old bar. And I remember, that old wood bar, it's got scratches all over and stuff. And I'm like, I just had like this flashback of sitting with the now passed away, the now deceased Todd Lynn, and talking about kids. And his diabetes was getting worse, and he was having trouble seeing, and he was still emceeing. He was hosting, and he had a hard time seeing. And I'm like,
Christ.
Fuck, comedy is fucking cruel, man.
Or the only thing that was left.
Best.
Right,
yes,
the only thing that was left.
And it ends up being the last thing to give you pleasure.
Think about Rickles. He's still going up, and you're like, dude, you can't even stand.
I know.
You know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's somebody else, another young comic, LA comic. I mentioned Tribble Run, and guy said, "What does that mean, Tribble Run?" And I was like,
it means so many things.
It does, but I was like,
it means everything.
It's Dave Tribble. And he was like, wait, there's a guy? So he didn't know that there was a
guy named Dave Tribble.
That it wasn't that they're named after. It's like a Yoder run or a Hanson run back in the day. And
Tribble just became the guy. It's
also the Kleenex of shitty one-nighter.
Yes, exactly.
Runs.
It's a universal name for one-nighters that you'll start out with 5, and they cross 3 or 4 states.
Yes.
Right, and you start out, you book it 2 months in advance. It's a Tuesday through Saturday. Starts in Idaho, goes to Washington, then to Oregon, then to Montana. So you end in Montana. It's always something like that where you end the furthest place away from home, and then Sunday morning you have a 29-hour drive back home. But then you get an email like the week before. Oh, the Wednesday fell out. So, so now you got to put yourself up in. You can either stay over in Idaho an extra day or go to Oregon a day early. But you figure out which Motel 6 is cheaper, and then that's where you stay the extra night.
Exactly, the worst.
So I wanted to have this joke figured out before I came here today, but I didn't because I only had one extra set. So on the Tuesday, I did that set with you at Akbar, then I went to the Improv, and I did these 2 chunks that I've been sort of working back to back. I think I did them there. So the first there was a new joke I did at Akbar that worked surprisingly well, and I was so startled I couldn't remember anything else. So I had to run and get my notes. So then I'm like, oh, maybe that's a good kickoff for this chunk, if that works. So I've only tried it 2 more times since, but so I can't say yes. I found another building block, but I'm like, I think like tonight's show that we have
the kid
improv
stuff, or was it
It was the them white people versus Mexican people responding to my son's photograph.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that one.
Or
that
Hispanic
one.
people.
Oh, by the way, I did the tantric sex bit the other night.
Yeah.
And 2 comics came up to me and they said, as soon as you started it, I was like, is this the bit they've been talking about for 2 months?
Hey, no pressure on that joke now.
No shit.
But so I'm that chunk ends with the me trying to teach my son to be bilingual.
Right.
Okay. So
the photograph thing goes into the.
So this is like a new set of jokes about the same topic, which is my son is half Mexican, right? And I think the first set of jokes I had like that, like I did it on a CD, did it on Conan, and I consider it like, done, and I only drag them out if I need to kill time.
Right.
But some, like, there's a couple of them I look at and I'm like, all right, that's sort of like level one. I have a son whose race is different or whose ethnicity is different from mine, sort of low-hanging fruit from the stereotyped fruit, right? So, and now I'm like, well, I want it to be much more from my perspective as a white mother, and not necessarily, I've just grown as a writer, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's what I'm aiming for. So now I have a couple, like 1 or 2, 2.5 jokes that lead up to this thing. So I'm like, oh, this is like turning into a nice round, like
a full
4-minute thing, which is
real
nice,
chunk,
which might be a TV set.
Oh, that's
awesome. Then, so I'm like, okay, so that might be, and then I'm like working on this mom stuff, which is, it's still, it starts really hard and then it ends, hard. There's no there's no exploding end laughter of okay, that thing's done.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that one's like, all right, I think I said this last week. I need a finishing joke on that chunk. So I do them at the Improv. I do the kid stuff first and the mom stuff, and then 2 comics.
Yeah.
Baron Vaughn comes up to me right after, and he suggests that I can close the joke that ends softly, the mom stuff.
Yeah.
If I call back something from the Mexican thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
He goes, that's a perfect callback if you do that. And I went, oh my God.
Thank you,
right.
Baron Vaughn.
And then like 2 minutes later, Mike Glazer, another comic, comes up, says the exact same thing.
Oh, wow.
Independently.
So it can be, they saw it because they had a bird's eye view.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. But so I've only tried it once, and the club I tried it at, or the venue was half comics. So I always feel self-conscious doing material in front of comics, and also a trick, which is a callback, is a trick. It's like a magic trick, okay? And I'd rather do that in front of dumb audience members instead of comics.
Or just regular, I mean, it doesn't count until you do it in front of a regular crowd.
Totally.
Right, but but that doesn't mean it's not real or it doesn't work.
Right.
I was sitting with Baron Vaughn and, not Baron Vaughn, Greg Behrendt and Martha Kelly, and I was explaining to them this bit that I explained on this show by Sean Mason, Sian, woman that I worked with at a comic book store in Santa Monica.
Isn't that the name of the reviewer from the Austin Chronicle?
No, that was somebody else.
All right.
Sean, I think it's Mason, whatever. She had this, remember I told you about it, this woman had an amazing bit about being roofied and raped.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Yeah, and it was an amazing, hilarious bit that was super dark.
Yeah.
But, so I'm telling Behrendt and Martha Kelly, and they're laughing so much. And then later, I was telling, I think I was telling it again. I only have a little bit of conversation, then it all falls apart, and I start doing material with people.
Other people's shit.
But by name. I'm like, do you see that? Hear that thing Solomon Giorgio's working on?
You know what? Jay Leno and Kathleen Madigan are going to sue you.
Right, but I'm not. But I'm not making any money.
I know.
And so, but the crazy thing is I was telling comedy fans that same bit, and they were more judgmental. They were more judgmental than the comics I told that bit about. They were like, oh, I see what she did.
What?
Yeah, it was weird.
Oh, God.
I was like,
the end. If they fucking figure it out, it's the end of the boom. Oh, no.
But it was really distracting. I was like, no, that's an amazingly written joke from a really real place. You don't think that's hilarious? They're like, no, it's funny. And I'm like, sons of bitches, you're killing me.
You gotta be able to know the difference between a joke written about getting drunk at a bar and a joke written about being roofied and raped. You gotta know that the degree of difficulty is 10 times higher on the fucking rape joke. Yeah, Jesus Christ, they're not equal jokes.
No, that's it exactly. Ugh. She's running through goddamn barbed wire.
Oh my God,
and making people laugh. So I just wanted, But my new material, I said this and then I realized how ridiculous it was because I was like, I don't have any new jokes. I'm so sick of my material.
Yeah.
Well, that tantric bit is probably 3 months old.
Right.
And just because I think it works now.
Yeah.
I think it's almost done.
I know.
And now I'm like, well,
And now
now
you're done
what?
with it.
Right. So,
Yeah.
and everything else I've got is kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Like the middle-aged lady thing and the food joke. And I'm like, because neither of those two have any closing bit. They don't have any buttons on them. And I want them to be end stronger because they're so
You want them to be what? End stronger?
To end stronger.
Oh, end stronger. Okay.
Yeah,
I thought
like-
you were doing some German word. End stronger?
I don't think you understand, but what I like to do is talk about
Schadenfreude?
Nietzsche when my comedy comes up. But there's nothing to be done. You know, I mean, I just have to.
Yeah.
I mean, what I need to do is I clearly need a writing exercise.
Well,
to get me to write.
That's a natural thing. I
Right.
think is
The disappointment after
you got something, you nailed it, and you're like, what's next? I
Right.
don't have anything,
And
and
Maria
you're
told-
bored with the other shit. You're trying to amp up,
Right.
You know,
And so, but I did get some hope out of the end of it because yesterday I was talking to Bamford and she's doing a new album.
Yeah.
In May.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, it's been 2.5 years since I did an album.
right?
Because I recorded it in Christmas of whatever. So it'll be 3 years this December that my album was recorded.
Yeah.
In 3 years, I've got another 45 of material.
Yeah.
If I sit down and here's my trick though. My recent trick that I've done is I've been hiring kids to transcribe my albums. So I have a transcript of all my albums and my
Yeah.
half-hour special, so I know all the material I've done.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
You know what I did with my dad special?
Yeah.
Is I treated it like kind of like how you do like a TV room in a way where I put each joke on a card, an index card, and
Okay.
I just had my own wall that I dedicated to it.
Okay.
And I started the wall with, all right, I'm starting with this chunk, and then so the pink cards.
Sounds like so much work.
It is, but you can see you just name each joke. You have a joke.
Yeah.
It's just the
Yeah.
way you write your set list out.
Yeah.
Put it up on the wall. Each topic has its own color index cards, right?
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but you can see
Yeah.
the flow of it, you know. And I mean,
Then you can move things around.
you can
easier
move
or
things
something?
around, and you can kind of go. You can kind of maybe give yourself, as you said, the bird's eye view of give yourself that of your act,
Right.
And go, well, does this tie into this, or is there any way I can call back any of this shit, you know,
Right.
later on? That's just a way to, and then you have it on your wall. Kyle,
Yeah.
are we okay? Okay, you have it on your wall, and just you can look at it when you're hanging around the house. You know, you can just kind of. I mean, it will haunt you. You want it to
It
haunt
will
you until
fucking
you're
haunt you.
done.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's
Yeah.
a good way to. You know, to
Yeah.
kind of see it. It's a pain in the ass to put it up, but then
Yeah.
you start moving things around and shifting them around, and you'll have a million tack holes in your wall. But it's a good way to see what your hour looks like, or your
Okay.
45 minutes or something.
Yeah, I was thinking about, because you never did a half hour, right? With
No.
Comedy Central?
No.
And
Oh,
you're-
please bring that up.
Please bring
Thank
that
you.
up. And you're not angry about that at all.
I'm fine.
It's, and you're fine.
I
and I did
sent-
mine 13 years ago, and I only got it because Naomi
Steinberg.
Steinberg liked me. And she gave it to me, I feel like she gave it to me in the teeth of Comedy Central.
Against their will.
Against their will, because I didn't have representation. I didn't, in 2003, she had called me in 2002 and asked me if I wanted to do it, if I could do it. And I was like, no, I'm doing my hair that week. And she was like, well, we actually were looking for a woman of color. So if we find that person, we won't give it to you. But I swear to God, we'll do it next year with you. And I was
You
like,
are half Armenian. Have I said that joke before?
no, but everyone, so is Cher. Remember Half Breed? Anyway, that's what she was talking about.
Yes.
No, she wasn't. And she's talking, but the crazy thing is when she said, well, we're looking for a person of color, I just started naming all of the black women comics I knew. I was like, have you talked to Aisha Tyler? And she's like, Jackie, stop suggesting
Stop
other
giving
people.
away your gig. What is wrong with you?
Well, I was like, well, she's not going to book me anyway. What about
yeah.
she should pick people that I like?
Yeah.
And she was like, and Aisha Tyler doesn't need your help. You're good. And
The girl on 24. Yeah, we're aware of her. Yeah.
yeah. And she said she can't do it. She's too busy. And and then I think I've told this story before, which is when Naomi said, and when we book this, nobody, if you get representation after we book this, they don't get the money for this. You got this by yourself. And I said, wouldn't that be a great
Fucking
way?
gangster. I love her.
So gangster. I
Yes.
was like, well, wouldn't that be a good way to get representation? She said, not a dime, Jackie. If they want money, have them call me. I'll help you. And I was like, you're the best human on the planet.
You know, it's like...
And of course, she doesn't work for Comedy Central
No,
anymore.
you're a comic who doesn't have representation, and you have to do everything, and then maybe someone's interested. I didn't get a manager, which I don't even have now, until after I got my own writing job.
Right. Then they're like, can I have 10% of that? Yeah.
It's like, or you're a comic who has people booking you 12 weeks a year. If there's no in between. You either have to do everything yourself and then someone wants 10% of it, or you're scooped up early. Oh, why wasn't I one of the other ones?
But here's the weird
I'm not mad at the injustice. I'm mad I'm on the other side. Why am I?
But here's the crazy thing. So she's like, they're not doing enough for me. The 12-week lady, right? Yeah. And you're like, well, then you still have to do it all yourself. Just do it all yourself. And then they're going to want 10%.
The lesson is you have to do it all yourself all the time.
The lesson is you always have to do it all yourself.
Well, what I wanted to say about that callback I was telling you about, that Baron Vaughn and Mike Glazer both suggested to me. The only problem is I wanted to come in and say, oh, it works. And now I have this problem. I don't know if I have this. I don't know if it works consistently. I'll probably know by the end of next week.
Yeah, you'll know.
But it's one bit calling back a different chunk that's completely separated, and now they are married for all time.
Right. Yes, they are.
I need that mom chunk to end on its own strong laugh. And then if I want frosting on the cake, I can do the callback.
Right. Well, and they don't have to be back to back though, right?
I don't think they have to be back to back, but if I want to do it on a TV spot, they have to be together. Yes. And now that means I would have to condense them both a lot. But whatever. It's a good problem to have. But
it is a good problem to have.
It is troublesome. And then if you put out an album, then that callback's not going to make sense if like Sirius or whatever only plays the dead mom chant.
The
you know
first
what I mean?
Part.
It's like,
well, it'll still be funny. It just won't end as strong as you want it to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll be like, yeah, okay. So, but what was interesting was when I was in New York, I was at the stand, and Adrienne Appalucci. Do you know Adrienne? She's really funny.
That's awesome.
Super dark. I love it. Just dark. But she has a miscarriage bit, and I was like, I guess I'm not going to do mine. And when in the history of comedy has this ever been a problem?
Never. I mean, that's the crazy.
And hers is funny too. It's a different take. I mean, it's the same relief.
But it's almost.
But it's different.
I don't want to say you couldn't do it, but there's part of me that thinks it would be hard. Again, the barbed wire, because
here's the thing, it's
not like two airline comics in a row.
Right. It's you do go, well, there's women in the audience who have had a miscarriage and aren't relieved. And so they hear the word, and
and now they're already sad.
So it's you go, well, is my joke strong enough to
get over
what
that
I'm going to
hump?
sacrifice is that someone's going to fold up a little bit.
Yeah.
You're
going to lose a little goodwill.
Yeah. So here's what I did with my joke. To make it easier to swallow, is I upped the age of when I had the miscarriage.
Oh, okay.
Because I say I was 46. Because I can tell you with certainty, 99.9% of women would not want to have a baby they conceived at age 46.
Okay.
Because do you agree with me?
I had a miscarriage at 45, and I really wanted that kid.
You did,
but I didn't want the kid until I was pregnant. And then I was like, I really wanted the kid. And then I got but it was a regular kind of it was a textbook miscarriage.
Yeah.
It was before the 3 months.
Yeah.
When a lot of people have them.
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon. Guys, if you're out there having miscarriages, a lot of people have miscarriages before the 3 months.
Well, I decided to.
But you up the age.
Yeah, because
that is more palatable.
The fewer, there aren't going to.
If I got pregnant now, I'm 50. I would want to have an abortion.
You would run until the baby fell out of your vagina. That's how you would go. You would do it. 85-mile run through the desert.
Remember Patton Oswalt used to do, there was some woman had a baby at 50, and he was like, it was a horrible image of just some gray pubes and a baby coming out of it. And you're like, Patton, you're creeping me out. And it was like 10 years ago, but it was.
Just to go off the topic, and I'll get right back to it, is, you remember Elizabeth Edwards, John Edwards' wife? Mm-hmm. Okay, so after their son died in a car accident.
Yeah.
And so she.
I don't know why that's funny now. I'm so sorry. It was because you brought it up.
You know why? It's not funny now. That's why. And you're laughing at because you're a horrible person. All right, let's just establish a baseline that you think it's okay if somebody rapes a dog. You're like, any story that doesn't involve raping a dog is okay.
You don't think that dog was consensual?
No. I realized when I said fucking a dog, I'm like, dogs never give consent. So that was rape.
You think that this woman I knew was a sexual predator? against a dog. Is what
yes,
you're saying?
yes,
All right.
yes.
I think you're.
But I did pause for a second because it was a woman. I'm like, wait, could
she
women?
would agree?
Yeah, I guess
she would agree.
All right, so Elizabeth Edwards had hormone treatments so she could have more kids when she was late 40s, early 50s.
Oof.
So she had 2 more kids, but there's just no science to this.
Okay.
But then she got breast cancer and died, and possibly the hormone treatments may have
Do
contributed.
you think that Jesus hated her and gave it to her? Maybe Jesus hated her for doing it. It's just as likely.
Where do you hit the edit button?
What are
right?
we at? What are we
Kyle,
at?
You're not. We're not keeping that.
I think
in.
we're at an hour, aren't we? Aren't we?
No, but okay. So I like how you just decide to go all in on asshole.
Well,
you've been labeled. There's no point in stopping.
Why try to defend myself? I guess my actions will speak louder than clearly my words, which are terrible.
But in my opinion, okay, so if I'm saying on stage, I'm glad I had a miscarriage because honestly, I was going to abort that baby.
Okay.
That was my son's sibling.
Right.
You know, I had an appointment. Okay. So to me, the abortion,
Yeah, you are not the hero of the story.
No,
Go ahead.
the miscarriage was like God going,
you were right. Let me get that for you.
Yes. But it's kind of steps on Adrienne Appalucci, even though I've had that joke. But to me, that wasn't the meat of my joke.
Right.
So mine goes in a different way. But I was relieved.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Plus, as an ex-Catholic, I didn't need even a shred of guilt about this, you know.
Right.
But I was like 42 or something.
Okay.
You know, and it was the father was, the father of my son. So
yeah. So would have been.
Pardon me, would have been happy to get that fucking baby and abort it. No,
I win. I, Jackie Cation, am the nice person on this episode. Thank you. I'll take my kudos off the air, you guys.
But I do recognize that there are plenty of women in the audience at 42 who would be fucking happy to have
over
that
the
baby.
moon. Over the moon.
So
change it. Yeah.
So this is, and when you're a comic, you're a writer, and you're like, I want a joke to work. I'm not dropping
Damn
truth
straight.
bombs all day long. Right. I want fucking laughs off a joke. So if I'm writing a joke about my true miscarriage, I'm going to figure out a way that this is going to get the best laugh possible. Okay.
Right.
So it's starting in a place of truth and goes to a place of emotional truth, which is I didn't want this baby.
Yeah. Which it doesn't mean.
And I was happy that
emotional truth. I think trumps truth every time.
Itself.
Every time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I wrote a joke. It was actually because I was missing my stepmother the other day, and I actually wrote a Tumblr blog about it because I was thinking, and I was telling my sister this yesterday, and my sister goes, "It's like she never died. That you really nailed her. You really summed up Nancy Cation." And because the joke is this, is that I had sort of a daydream, when you daydream about talking to people that are not with us anymore.
Yes.
And so I was daydreaming, calling up Nancy Cation, my stepmother of many thousands of years, and saying, "Hey, you remember you met Maria at my wedding. You like Maria. I'm opening for her a lot, and she's, becoming really more popular and really famous and everything." And then Nancy Cation watching Maria Bamford do stand-up comedy, and then Nancy say, "So when you go on the road with her, you're like her service animal?" Because that is a joke that Nancy Cation would have made. Mean, hilarious.
Hard to believe you're not blood related to this woman.
Impossible to believe that I'm not blood related to that woman, but really for the best because the rest of her family's out of their mind. Anyway, so, but she, I would have laughed. We both would have laughed at that, and then I would have felt slightly insecure about that joke.
Yeah.
And then I would have told my sister about it, and then Darla would have said, "Nancy's such an asshole." So I told my sister about it yesterday, and I said, "Does that sound like something that's real?" And she said, "Yeah, Nancy was an asshole, and it's like she never died. So well played." But that's the truth. Emotional truth of that joke is feels better to me than something because she never said that. Nobody's ever said that.
Yeah.
That is a little story I made up in my little brain box.
Yeah. It's called writing, motherfuckers.
You're right.
We're writers, okay? We're writers who perform the shit that we write.
Yes.
Okay.
And so mine's caricatures, but it's all true.
Yeah, that's tweaking. You go, all right, maybe you probably start out with exact truth on a joke, maybe, if you think it's funny. And then you go, oh, that didn't work. All right. Well, how
3
do
points, Laurie
how do
Kilmartin.
I fucking sand this thing down a little bit? You know, it's got some pointy edges, got splinters. Let's make it work. You know,
Right? Hey, did you sent me that link?
What
to
link?
The Will Ferrell thing?
Oh yeah, that
the
was.
hell
Wait,
was
let
that?
me just go off.
Finish that.
Yeah, so I'm doing Un Cabaret on Sunday.
Right.
It just reminds me of this. Is that it causes me anxiety.
Oh, because it's this it's supposed to be this artistic moment.
And I always feel like when someone says you want to do a storytelling show, they're saying, "Do you want to bomb for 15 minutes?" Please respond yes. Because I don't tell stories. You
Right.
know,
You write jokes.
Yeah, when I listen to The Moth, I'm like, edit, hurry up. Like, I can't take it.
Line veto.
Yes, go, come on. Like, so I'm like, oh, do I sneak in a joke but tell a bad version of it so it sounds like a story?
Yes, you do. That is the greatest explanation of Un Cabaret ever.
Words.
But if you do something brand new, that's how a joke starts, though, is that you've added words that
yes.
you will eventually edit out.
Okay, but there's an audience there, and I feel an obligation to entertain them, and I honestly
really
don't believe how they can be entertained by me
Meandering around?
Yes.
Because that's what they came for. They know they're signed up for it. It's like set list.
I don't believe that.
Well,
I think how can that be?
Cabaret may not be for you, but I'm doing it.
I've done it before.
Yeah,
but
and you
I told
always
you
do
before,
well.
I've snuck in jokes. That's why I've done well.
I don't think she doesn't want you to sneak in jokes. I think she wants you to. Beth Lapidus,
Yes.
wants you to sneak in jokes. My favorite. Well, whatever. But
But the good thing is
I
that
think she just wants you to do super new jokes so that there's story attached to it.
I'm glad we're speculating about it instead of asking her directly. That's to me on a podcast. That's what a
If you
podcast
could
is
call
for.
Laurie and tell her what you're really looking for.
It's just yes, I'll do some kind of hybrid, and maybe I'll just do some extra mom stuff that and isn't working, and see if I can.
And see if you can find something.
Sometimes shit comes together on
That's
stage.
it. That's how I write.
That's not exactly how I write. I write more.
You write more on the paper.
In the regret afterwards, like, oh fuck, why didn't I say this? I do a lot of regretful joke writing.
Really, that's hilarious because
Yes.
I write. I do the bit over and over again until the punchline comes to me. Sadly,
Really?
that is.
Well, how many tries do you give yourself before you give up on a
It's
joke?
very lazy. Oh, I did that joke for 3 years. That one joke about Bosnia. The war was over. Anyway, but the weird.
You're still working on your Soviet Union chunk.
Oh my God, I got this East German judge thing that's going to kill. I will say this about Un Cabaret is that she tagged me in that tweet at you.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, do I get to? I don't have a set tomorrow night. So I was like, oh, am I going up too? I'd love a set.
You want to split a set with me?
Yeah. One time I did just show up and I got to work in.
Nice.
It's always nice when Andy Dick is booked because half the time he doesn't show up. And
Show up.
And I could just
He is
show
on the
up.
show.
Is he on the show?
Yeah, he's on the show with me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Show up.
And then we'll tell you next week if it happened because this
Yeah.
will come out day after. And that's hilarious.
Cool.
That Will Ferrell thing, do you want to talk about that or no?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Do we have time?
I think we're at an hour,
Do we
aren't
have
we?
our?
An hour, but you guys can go longer if you want.
Okay.
Yeah, just-
well, no, it was he was supposed to do something that was described as an Alzheimer's comedy, which I'm on board. Oh
my God, that has
I
your
love
name
it.
all over
It's
it.
awful, and I love it. And then the premise was that it was about Ronald Reagan. Second term kicks in, and somebody is convincing Ronald Reagan that he's playing the part of president because
So
he
dark. So dark.
Yes. And I guess Patty Davis's daughter, who is
Michael
a Democrat. Yeah. I mean, understandably, if that was my dad, I would be like, excuse me, at least wait till we're dead.
Right.
Give it a,
right.
Let's
go a couple of generations
but
and
also,
then do it.
it makes you appreciate the restraint of the Kennedy family, they've been subjected to endless shit
That's
about
true.
about John, Robert, and Teddy, and they almost never say anything. They just carry on with their money. But
You are right.
yeah, it really.
Yeah.
But it's like if you didn't name the character Ronald Reagan, like you could do it all, and people could say,
Well, too late
"Is this
now."
based on Ronald Reagan?"
Yeah.
it might be a little too on the nose because he just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's been the last 10 years.
It sounded like a really funny idea, though.
Did you ever see? You might want to show this.
And who
to your
knows?
son.
It could have been true. What?
The Casa de Mi Padre.
No,
Did you see that? It was almost Blazing Saddles.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the one with Will Ferrell where it was and it was about the way we treat Mexicans.
Oh.
And it was essentially it was so close. I bought it.
Yeah.
Because I laughed so hard. It's my favorite Will Ferrell movie, quite honestly. And I don't have many. So that's and no offense, Will Ferrell, but
we should do
I'm sure he's devastated.
You know what I always wanted to do, and I never remember this here, is like we should invite a bunch of female comics over to my house or to your house, or one of our houses, and
You
we
have a
should
pool.
we should
Let's go to your house.
Yes, we should watch a movie that we never watch. You know,
Okay.
like that because there's only guys in it, or like
okay.
I am tragically undereducated about Monty Python because
Me too.
maybe because it's British or it's all as soon as I see men in a dress, I'm like changing the channel, and even though they're geniuses, like maybe.
How about Little Britain?
I haven't seen it.
Okay, yeah, it's the same.
maybe
it's very,
we should,
very funny.
Maybe there's a lot of us that have that resistance.
Yeah.
You know how it's always assumed in comedy. Oh well, you must like this because you're a comedian.
Right.
No, you're talking to male comedians because
Or you're talking, or I just missed the boat. There are so many things I didn't see.
Yes,
And-
because I was on the road and there's no internet, there's no cloud at the time. I mean,
Right.
I've seen like 3 episodes of Friends because I was on the road when Friends was on. I wasn't home on Must See TV Thursday, so I missed it.
I saw them all in syndication, and they were my friends. Super sad, sad, you guys. But I would get
a tragic ending to a horrible podcast.
I would actually go out to coffee with my friend Anna Becker, and I would tell her what happened on Friends. And she said, first of all, that episode's 3 years old, Jackie, and I've seen it.
Can I tell you, Anna Becker is the most Minnesota name I've ever heard in my life.
And yet she's from Florida.
Interesting.
And she was in a sorority. I have no idea why we are friends. So no offense to Floridians and people in sororities. But Anna Becker is great. But she was like, you treat them like, she was the one who came up with, you treat them like they're your friends. You know, you have actual friends right in front of you. Me. And I was like, yeah, but you remember what Phoebe did the other day?
But isn't witty repartee so much more alluring than clunky friendship?
Clunky friendship where we're just plowing along and you're just like, oh, did you have that problem with your credit card? I'm so sorry.
All
Anyway,
right, so
super
we're
fun.
Yeah, we're over an hour.
So where are you? Are you doing sets
Well,
this
yeah. If you
week?
guys are listening, I'm headlining at Flappers on
that's right.
Friday and Saturday, and it's like real headlining. You know, it's like 2
Full
shows,
set?
2 full 45ers.
Friday and Saturday.
I think Carol Leifer is doing some spots in front of me. She's amazing.
Oh, that's cool.
God, and Tony Kameen is.
Oh, dude.
Tony Kameen is so funny. I've known him since I started in San Francisco. He's one of my favorite people.
Oh,
he's also on the show.
I'm so sad that I'm not going to be here for that.
Yes.
Flaps.
Yes.
And at any Laurie 16
Yes.
is your Twitter.
Yes.
And then I'm at Jackie Cation, and I'm doing Burlington, Vermont.
Oh, cool.
The Vermont Comedy Club.
Sanders territory. That's
I will.
exciting.
I will be sad for their loss. So I will. I'm very supportive.
Okay. Bye.
Thanks.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.